The greatest irony of destiny. We live in an age where everyone speaks of control. We plan our days to the minute, we measure progress with graphs, and we often believe that if we just try harder, work longer, and prepare better, life will finally bend to our will. Yet beneath this surface of certainty, an invisible irony is at play. The more desperately we try to control destiny, the less we seem to understand it. Jung once suggested that what we call fate is often nothing more than the unfolding of our unconscious patterns. In other words, the strings that guide our path are already within us, woven long before we attempt to pull them. Imagine your life as a vast loom. Each choice you make, whether conscious or unconscious, adds a thread to the fabric of your destiny. Some threads are bright and shimmering, others are coarse and muted, but together they form the tapestry of who you are. The question is, do you know which thread you are weaving with right now? Is it the thread of care and empathy, the thread of discipline and truth, the thread of beauty and play, the thread of practicality and structure, or the luminous thread that ties you to the invisible? This video is not a game of chance. It is not about logic or strategic analysis. It is an intuitive test designed to speak directly to your unconscious. That symbols, colors, and textures bypass the rational mind and awaken something older, something deeper. That is why the choice you will make here will reveal more than you expect. In a moment, you will see 5 different kinds of threads. Do not overthink. Do not try to calculate which one sounds better or more noble. Simply allow yourself to feel. Which thread calls to you? Which one seems familiar, comforting, or strangely magnetic? That is your unconscious speaking. Today, your task is simple. Choose your thread and discover the purpose it whispers about your destiny. The wool thread, the guardian of warmth and acceptance. When you chose the wool thread, you may not have realized what your soul was confessing. Wool has always been more than a material. It is the ancient fabric of hearths, firesides, and the warmth of family. To select wool is to unconsciously align with the archetype of the caregiver, the one who offers safety, comfort, and acceptance to others. Think for a moment of a blanket knitted by a grandmother's hand. Its stitches are imperfect, perhaps uneven, but each loop carries an intention. Be warm, be safe, know that you are loved. This is the essence of wool. Those who resonate with this thread carry the archetypal mission of creating such spaces of warmth for others, often without words, often without recognition. They are the quiet guardians of belonging. The light side of the wool thread. At its best, the wool archetype represents radical empathy. These people sense emotions in a room before they are spoken. They notice when someone is left out, when silence hides sadness, when laughter covers pain. Their instinct is to reach out, not with theories or solutions, but with presence. They are the friends who will listen for hours without judgment. They are the parents who sacrifice their own rest to soothe a child. They are the colleagues who bring coffee when they sense your exhaustion. Their gift is not efficiency, not brilliance, but something the modern world too often underestimates. The power of kindness that expects nothing in return. And yet, do not mistake kindness for weakness. The warmth of wool protects against harsh winters. In the same way, those who embody this thread possess an inner resilience. Their care is not shallow pity, it is a fierce devotion to the value of life itself. The shadow of the wool thread. But every light casts a shadow. For those guided by the wool thread, the shadow emerges as self-forgetfulness. In their eagerness to be the blanket for others, they may abandon their own needs, their own rest, their own boundaries. It begins subtly. A refusal to say no, a habit of always being available, a hidden pride in being the indispensable one. Over time, the shadow deepens into martyrdom. The caregiver becomes exhausted, resentful, even invisible. Their love, once free and abundant, starts to carry a silent demand. See me, appreciate me, do not leave me behind. This is the danger of the wool archetype. Its generosity can become entanglement. Relationships may shift into dependency, where the giver cannot stop giving and the receiver cannot stop taking. Wool warms, but when soaked, it also grows heavy, weighing the wearer down. The lesson of the wool thread. The great task for the wool thread is to learn the paradox of care. You cannot truly care for others if you do not also care for yourself. To choose wool is to hear the unconscious calling you to build boundaries as firm as they are kind. It means learning to say, I will be there for you, but I must also be there for me. It means discovering that solitude is not abandonment, but nourishment. It means trusting that the world will not collapse if you rest, that others must also learn to stand on their own feet. The wool archetype's destiny is to embody what Jung called the union of opposites, to be soft yet firm, giving yet self-honoring, nurturing yet whole. Only then does the warmth of their soul become sustainable, a fire that never burns out. Everyday examples. You will recognize this archetype in the teacher who stays late to help the struggling student, but also learns to delegate and trust her colleagues. You will see it in the nurse who holds a patient's hand during the darkest hour, but also takes her own day off to walk by the ocean and breathe. You will see it in the friend who remembers your birthday every year, yet has finally learned to celebrate their own. When integrated, the wool thread produces individuals who carry an atmosphere of calm wherever they go. Others feel safer, lighter, more at home in their presence. These people do not need to preach love, they embody it. Closing reflection. If you chose the wool thread, your destiny is not to build empires, conquer mountains, or dazzle the world with your genius. Your calling is quieter but no less powerful, to weave belonging into the lives around you. The danger is that you may forget to weave belonging into your own life. Your soul's task is to remember, the blanket of care must cover you as well. When you allow yourself to be warmed, your warmth for others multiplies. Then, the thread of wool becomes not a burden, but a blessing, a living symbol that love, in its truest form, is never self-erasure, but mutual nourishment. The linen thread, the warrior of truth and structure. If your intuition guided you to the linen thread, your soul has revealed its alliance with the archetype of the warrior of truth and structure. Linen, unlike wool, is not primarily about warmth. It is cool, strong, and enduring. It does not bend easily to the touch. It has clothed judges, priests, warriors, and kings. To choose linen is to declare, consciously or unconsciously, that order, clarity, and truth are your guiding forces. The nature of linen. Historically, linen was one of the first fabrics cultivated by human hands. It demanded patience, discipline, and resilience to produce. Every fiber had to be carefully extracted, prepared, and woven. Its value lay not in softness, but in durability. In the same way, those who carry the linen thread are not always the most comforting presence, but they are the ones others trust to stand firm when everything else collapses. The light of the linen thread. At its best, the linen archetype shines with integrity. These individuals live by principles that cannot be easily corrupted. They value responsibility, honesty, and justice. To them, words are not tools for manipulation, but promises that must be honored. Their presence offers stability. They are the friends who will tell you the truth when everyone else flatters you. They are the leaders who hold the line when pressure tempts the group toward compromise. Jung believed that archetypes express themselves not only in personal psychology, but also in cultural roles. The linen soul naturally gravitates toward roles of authority, not for domination, but for stewardship. They feel called to protect order, defend what is right, and establish structures where chaos threatens. The shadow of the linen thread. Yet the strength of linen can also become its weakness. Its shadow is rigidity. Those aligned with this archetype may cling so tightly to rules, traditions, or ideals that they forget the beating heart of humanity beneath them. In their quest for justice, they risk becoming judgmental. In their hunger for structure, they may become controlling. The shadow deepens when truth becomes a weapon rather than a light. A linen soul may pride themselves on telling it like it is, yet their words, sharp and unsoftened, can wound more than they heal. The pursuit of discipline may degenerate into coldness. Responsibility may harden into tyranny. Just as linen wrinkles easily and resists softness, so too can these individuals resist vulnerability, fearing that to reveal weakness is to betray their role as protector. They may bury emotions, choosing duty over intimacy, until the soul itself begins to ache. The lesson of the linen thread. For the linen archetype, the lesson is profound. Truth without compassion becomes cruelty. Structure without love becomes a prison. To embody their destiny, linen souls must learn to soften, not by abandoning principles, but by infusing them with empathy. This requires courage, the courage not only to defend what is right, but also to admit when they are wrong. The courage to set down the armor and say, I too need care, I too am fragile. The paradox of their path is that only by embracing vulnerability do they discover their deepest strength. Everyday expressions. You will see the linen archetype in the judge who balances fairness with mercy. You will find it in the teacher who insists on discipline, yet encourages the unique gifts of each student. You will notice it in the parent who sets firm boundaries, but also kneels to listen to the child's fears. Integrated linen souls become anchors in turbulent times. Their integrity does not crush others, it uplifts them. They demonstrate that truth is not a hammer to break, but a foundation upon which others can stand tall. Symbolic reflection. In mythology, the warrior archetype is not only the soldier, but also the guardian of sacred order. Think of the knights who swore oaths not only to fight but to serve justice. Think of the ancient priests whose linen garments symbolized purity, not power. This is the deeper call of the linen thread, to weave a destiny where strength and heart walk hand in hand. Closing words. If you chose the linen thread, destiny is asking you to stand firm in a collapsing world, but not at the expense of your own soul. Your task is to embody resilient truth softened by compassion. When you master this balance, you become a true guardian, not of rigid structures, but of living order. Like linen itself, you will endure through seasons. But unlike linen that stiffens with time, your spirit can remain flexible, breathing, alive. In that balance, your purpose will not be the tyranny of law, but the liberation of truth. The silk thread, the creator of beauty and inspiration. To choose the silk thread is to align yourself with the archetype of the creator, the artist, the eternal child. Unlike wool or linen, silk has always been associated with rarity, allure, and lightness. It gleams under the faintest light, moving with fluid elegance. To the unconscious, silk whispers of inspiration, joy, and the fleeting beauty of life. The nature of silk. Silk is delicate, yet remarkably strong. It is born from the humble labor of a silkworm, transformed into something humans have prized for centuries as a symbol of refinement and enchantment. In the same way, those who choose silk may seem light-hearted or playful, but beneath their laughter lies a surprising resilience. They have the ability to turn ordinary experiences into extraordinary expressions. The light of the silk thread. At its best, the silk archetype represents creativity, wonder, and delight. These individuals notice beauty where others see only monotony. They find patterns in chaos, metaphors in daily life, and joy in fleeting details. To them, a sunset is not simply the end of a day. It is a canvas. A conversation is not mere exchange. It is theater. A problem is not a burden. It is raw material for invention. Their presence often lifts others. They carry the gift of inspiration, making the people around them feel that life is larger, richer, more colorful than they had imagined. They are the storytellers, the dancers, the innovators who transform air into music and silence into poetry. The shadow of the silk thread. Yet silk has its shadow. Its beauty is fragile. It can be stained easily, torn quickly. For the silk archetype, the shadow manifests as superficiality and restlessness. In their constant search for beauty and excitement, they may struggle to stay grounded. They may chase novelty after novelty, abandoning projects once the thrill fades. Relationships can suffer when they seek perpetual enchantment rather than deep commitment. Work may suffer when they prefer inspiration to discipline. Like a shimmering fabric, they risk slipping through life without anchoring their gifts in concrete form. Another shadow is escapism. Faced with the darker realities of existence, suffering, monotony, mortality, silk souls may retreat into distraction, seeking only pleasure and refusing responsibility. Their laughter can become a mask, their play a shield against depth. The lesson of the silk thread. The destiny of the silk archetype is not to reject responsibility, but to marry inspiration with creation. Their task is to learn that beauty is not only in the fleeting spark, but in the sustained flame. To bring dreams into form requires persistence, patience, and courage to face imperfection. For silk souls, the great paradox is this: only when they ground their inspiration in discipline does their art become transformative. Inspiration alone enchants for a moment. Realized creation endures for generations. Everyday expressions. You will see the silk archetype in the friend who fills the room with laughter and spontaneous ideas, but also learns to finish what they start. You will recognize it in the designer who brings elegance into practical spaces, balancing beauty with function. You will notice it in the musician who practices daily, not just when inspiration strikes, channeling raw talent into lasting artistry. When integrated, the silk thread produces visionaries who uplift society. They show that life is not only about survival or duty, but also about delight, play, and wonder. And yet, their art does not remain escapism. It becomes a bridge that helps others face pain with courage, wrapped in beauty. Symbolic reflection. Mythology often portrays the artist as both blessed and cursed. Blessed with vision, cursed with fragility. Think of Orpheus, whose music could charm even the gods, yet who faltered when he doubted. Think of childlike trickster figures who reveal wisdom through play. The silk thread belongs to this lineage, souls who remind us that life without beauty becomes unbearable. Closing words. If you chose the silk thread, your destiny is not merely to admire beauty, but to create it and anchor it. Your gift is the ability to weave joy into despair, color into gray, and song into silence. Your challenge is to resist the temptation of endless distraction and instead transform your inspiration into something that lasts. The world does not only need your laughter, it needs your creations. When you dare to commit your artistry to form, your silk no longer drifts with the wind. It becomes a luminous thread in the tapestry of destiny, shimmering long after the moment has passed. The twine thread, the sustainer of the concrete world. If your hand or intuition moved toward the twine thread, your soul revealed its resonance with the archetype of the realist, the builder, the invisible worker. Twine is not glamorous like silk, not warm like wool, not majestic like linen, nor mystical like silver. It is simple, modest, even overlooked. Yet without it, bundles unravel, packages fall apart, and structures collapse. Twine represents the often unseen labor that holds the visible world together. The nature of twine is coarse, unpretentious, and widely available. Farmers have used it for centuries to tie crops, sailors to secure knots, craftsmen to bind their work. It is not chosen for beauty, but for functionality. Those who select twine are often souls who value stability, reliability, and common sense. They are the ones who quietly ensure that tasks are done, that homes stand, that systems function. The light of the twine thread. At its best, the twine archetype embodies steadfastness. These individuals are grounded, practical, and dependable. They may not chase lofty ideals, but they bring dreams down to earth. They are the ones who ask the hard, pragmatic questions. How will this work? Who will maintain it? What happens when the excitement fades? Their gift is invisible strength. Others may overlook them because they do not always shine, but in truth they are the backbone of communities and families. Without them, visions would remain ideas. With them, visions find foundations. Their loyalty, humility, and consistency create trust. The shadow of the twine thread. Yet twine can also become tight, restrictive, binding too firmly. The shadow of this archetype is resistance to change. Those aligned with twine may cling so strongly to what is proven that they reject what is new. Their pragmatism may become cynicism. Their loyalty may become stagnation. When shadowed, twine souls dismiss beauty as frivolous, spirituality as fantasy, and imagination as waste. They risk reducing life to a checklist of survival tasks, forgetting that human beings need not only bread, but also meaning, song, and hope. They may hold others back, tying them with invisible knots of fear disguised as caution. Another shadow is invisibility. Because they rarely demand recognition, Twine archetypes may live feeling unseen, undervalued, even taken for granted. Their contributions blend into the background, leaving them with the painful sense that their lives lack significance. The lesson of the Twine thread. The destiny of the Twine archetype is to discover that function and meaning must coexist. Their soul's task is to keep their grounding without suffocating growth, to embrace stability without rejecting wonder. This requires expanding their horizon, learning to see beauty not as distraction, but as nourishment, imagination not as a threat, but as a seed for the future, spirituality not as escape, but as a deeper foundation. Twine must learn that while it holds the world together, it also has the power to connect the practical with the mysterious. Everyday expressions. You can see the Twine archetype in the neighbor who quietly repairs the broken fence so everyone can feel safe, in the worker who arrives early and leaves late, making sure the machinery runs, though few notice his presence, in the friend who may not speak with eloquence, but will always show up when you need help moving or fixing something. When integrated, Twine souls are anchors of trust. They do not promise what they cannot deliver, and they rarely abandon their commitments. At the same time, they learn to welcome surprise, to let curiosity soften their caution, to allow beauty into their routine. They realize that life is not only about preventing collapse, but also about building joy. Symbolic reflection. In myth, the Twine archetype is close to the servant or the steward, figures who may not wear crowns but without whom kingdoms fall. Think of the humble farmer whose labor feeds the empire, or the craftsman whose hidden work holds the temple steady. The paradox is that though their role appears small, its impact is immense. Closing words. If you chose the Twine thread, your destiny is not to dazzle the world but to sustain it. You are called to embody reliability in a time of chaos, to prove that true greatness is not always glamorous. But you must also learn to honor yourself, to let your quiet strength be seen, and to open your heart to mystery. Twine may look ordinary, but in the grand loom of destiny, it is the silent force that binds the fabric together. When you claim both your steadiness and your hidden longing for beauty, you transform from the invisible worker into the conscious steward of life. And in that transformation, your destiny is revealed not as small, but as indispensable. The silver thread, the visionary of the soul and the invisible. If your gaze settled on the silver thread, you have chosen the most ethereal of the five. Silver has always symbolized mystery, the moon, intuition, and the unseen forces that flow beneath visible reality. Unlike wool or twine, which speak of the material world, or linen and silk, which carry earthly order and beauty, silver belongs to the liminal, the spaces between the known and the unknown. To select silver is to align with the archetype of the mystic, the visionary, the bridge between worlds. The nature of silver reflects rather than absorbs. Under the moonlight, it glows with quiet radiance. It is not loud like gold, not heavy with grandeur, but subtle, shimmering, elusive. Likewise, those who carry the silver thread are rarely the loudest voices in the room. Their power lies in perception, in sensing what others overlook, in connecting dots that seem unrelated. They often feel drawn to spirituality, philosophy, art, or healing. Their lives are marked by moments of synchronicity, those mysterious coincidences Jung himself described as signs of deeper order. The light of the silver thread. At its best, the silver archetype embodies wisdom, intuition, and transcendence. These individuals live with an awareness that reality is layered, that behind appearances there are archetypal patterns and spiritual truths. They have the ability to guide others through darkness, not with force but with gentle illumination, like the moon guiding a traveler through the night. They are visionaries who sense the future before it arrives, dreamers whose inner life is as vivid as the outer world. Their compassion often flows from seeing the bigger picture. They know that every struggle hides meaning, that every wound can become a doorway to transformation. the shadow of the silver thread. Yet silver tarnishes quickly. Its shadow is escapism and arrogance. Those aligned with this archetype may become so enamored with the invisible that they lose touch with the visible. They may chase visions while neglecting responsibilities. Their intuition, once a gift, may become an excuse to avoid reality. Another shadow is spiritual pride, the belief that because they see more deeply, they are superior. This arrogance isolates them from others and corrupts their gift. They may dismiss the practical concerns of daily life, forgetting that true spirituality is not about leaving the world behind, but about embodying the sacred within it. Some silver souls also carry the wound of alienation. From childhood, they may have felt different, misunderstood, unable to fully belong. If this wound festers, they may withdraw entirely, living in solitude not as choice, but as escape. The lesson of the silver thread. For the silver archetype, the great task is incarnation. Their soul is called to bring the invisible into the visible, to ground intuition in action, to translate vision into service. Jung himself insisted that individuation is not about floating above life, but about integrating the unconscious into conscious reality. The silver soul must learn that mystical insight is only complete when it touches the earth, when wisdom becomes compassion in relationships, when dreams become art, when intuition guides practical choices. Their destiny is to weave a bridge, not to abandon one side for the other. Everyday expressions. You can see the silver archetype in the healer who uses both medical knowledge and intuitive presence to comfort a patient. In the poet who transforms personal visions into words that resonate universally. In the quiet leader who senses the hidden dynamics of a team and gently steers it toward harmony. When integrated, silver souls embody spiritual presence grounded in humanity. They become guides, not gurus, companions, not untouchable masters. Their humility paired with vision allows them to shine like the moon, gentle, steady, quietly transformative. Symbolic reflection. In myth, silver is the metal of the moon goddess, of priestesses, of prophets. It belongs to Artemis, who roams the wilderness, and to Hermes, the messenger between worlds. The silver thread is the lineage of seers and dreamers who remind humanity that life is not only what we see, but also what we feel, imagine, and intuit. Closing words. If you chose the silver thread, your destiny is to embody vision with presence. The world does not need another prophet lost in the clouds. It needs someone who can carry the light of the unseen into the challenges of the everyday. When you integrate your gift, you become a rare kind of visionary, one whose insights do not separate you from humanity, but deepen your connection to it. In your presence, others remember that life is both material and spiritual, both visible and invisible. And when you weave your silver into the tapestry of destiny, you remind us all that the soul too has a thread. Conclusion: weaving your destiny with awareness. At this point, you have seen 5 threads, 5 paths, 5 archetypal invitations. Perhaps one spoke to you immediately. Perhaps you felt drawn to more than one. That is natural. Jung reminded us that archetypes are not cages but living patterns. Each of us carries all of them, but at certain moments one becomes dominant, calling us to live out a particular lesson. The truth is simple yet profound. No thread is better than another. The wool thread teaches love through care. The linen thread teaches justice through integrity. The silk thread teaches joy through creation. The twine thread teaches stability through service. The silver thread teaches wisdom through vision. Each carries light, each carries shadow, and each offers a path toward individuation, the process of becoming whole. What matters is not which thread you picked, but whether you are willing to live it consciously, to embody the light, to confront the shadow, and to learn the lesson it brings. If you chose wool, can you learn to care for yourself as deeply as you care for others? If linen, can you temper justice with compassion? If silk, can you turn inspiration into lasting creation? If twine, can you embrace beauty as well as function? If silver, can you embody vision in daily life? When you reflect on these questions, you begin to weave with awareness rather than blindly. Life no longer feels like a random fabric of events, but like a tapestry with meaning. Each day becomes a choice, Which thread am I weaving with now? Am I adding warmth, strength, beauty, stability, or vision to the pattern of my life? The final paradox is that while you may favor one thread, destiny is always woven from many. No life is only wool or only silver. The art of living is to integrate them, to know when to nurture, when to discipline, when to create, when to sustain, and when to dream. Together, they form the complete tapestry of a human soul. So I invite you, hold your thread with reverence. Do not envy another's fiber. Do not despise your own. Every strand has its role, and without yours, the fabric of existence would be incomplete. Weave consciously, weave courageously, weave with love. For in the end, the greatest destiny is not to control the tapestry, but to awaken as its weaver.